Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long before 1975, a YouTuber is on the rise, reviewing games and sometimes friends, but Long Boys Bros 1975.
Hey YouTube, Long Boys post 1975. It's been kind of a while since I've made a serious video, but this topic is really pissing me off, particularly since I've not seen it on any sort of news station. I've only seen it listed in newspapers, and it's newspapers who've kind of done so because it's directly affecting them. But basically, the title down there is "Censorship of the Internet has officially begun." At least in the United Kingdom and at least in the European Union. Now, a couple of things. People who watch my channel for a long time know I like YouTube. I'm not a massive fan of Google. You know, you've only got to search Google in my search bar to find videos where I talk about some of the things they do that I find, you know, will piss me off, basically. Also, I'm not a massive fan of the EU. I have no problem with Europe. I absolutely don't. Let's make that clear right now. I'm not a massive fan of the EU because I'm not a massive fan of a blatantly corrupt, bloated, wasteful and undemocratic sort of parliament, you know, that exists to basically force these things upon us, yet we have no involvement or decision in these things being, you know, policed. You know, it's just undemocratic. People who were never voted for, people who've never been elected, should not be allowed to make these decisions that affect this many people. And in this case, it is censorship. Now, you might not know this because, as I said, it was not all over TV and everything. It seems to have crept in through the back door, and only the papers so far have been affected, but it's creeping up there, can do this. The EU introduced a law the last week, the week before, maybe in a couple of weeks before that. But as I said, I only literally just found out about it. It's called the Right to be Forgotten law, that any individual can approach, and Google are following it. They've already done it. They've already got a back catalogue of requests of 50,000, and this has potentially the possibility to affect 500 million people. So this is basically censorship of the internet. But you can ask Google, and it only takes one request by one individual, that you want an article removed if it's about you under your right to be forgotten law, and they have to take it down. And they've started doing it now. They're not taking it down off the original websites and stuff and such like that. So these newspaper articles that, you know, they've already, some of them have had stuff where they printed stuff, and it was true about the bloke who, I forget his name because, you know, this is a while back, even though, but this affected every one of us, and he should have been shamed and named. Who was one of the key contributors to the original banking crisis, and he was named and shamed for it. He's managed to have that taken off Google, so it's still on its retrospective website or stuff. A BBC political vlogger has had all links. He didn't, but someone had links to, you know, stuff where he was writing that was true about them. They've been removed from Google. It's trickling down. I mean, this may sound like a joke, but a couple who had sex openly in a carriage on Virgin trains, I've had that article unlisted or hidden, is basically what it is, hidden from the Google, you know, i.e. Google UK and all the subsequent Google search engines in Europe, that is. You know, I'm assuming it doesn't vet .com.ca or, you know, AU or, you know, all those places. But, you know, it's still the start of censorship. Yeah, they had sex in a lab, but you wouldn't want to be in that fucking carriage. They had that taken down. A football referee who was corrupt, bent, and, you know, gave a penalty, you know, to influence the game. Well, you know, he doesn't want to have people be able to find it anymore, so he's had his taken down. It's the tip of the iceberg, and it's only going to get worse. And what worries me is if they're convicted, and it's true, does this mean rapists, murderers and paedophiles can have themselves hidden from the search engine? Because one of my mates said, oh, chill, relax, it's not really censorship because these articles still exist on, you know, the original sort of newspaper or news sites that they were listed on. Well, maybe they do, but what's the one thing that people use the most to access information on the internet? I'm not a brand whore or anything like that, but it's Google, isn't it? So if Google are forced to hide these, well, personally I think they should have told the EU to piss off. I don't think enough people tell the EU to piss off and stand their ground. But, you know, I guess they're following the law because they can be fined, actually. They can be fined quite heavily. So I guess, you know, even though lots of people are angry at Google, it's not essentially their fault. It's the EU for introducing such a stupid fucking law. But, yeah, Google is the main eyes and ears access point to, I would easily say, the majority of people for the internet. So as far as I'm concerned, this is censorship of the internet. It started here, and my biggest fear, as I've always said before in videos, is when censorship starts on the internet in one form or other. It may not sound particularly bad right now, but let's be honest, how do you define good or bad censorship? It's censorship, but it always goes on to stronger and worse, more adverse, you know, policing effects and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of curious as to what you think. Did you even know this EU right to be forgotten law had been introduced? Did you know that already? That, you know, thousands of search results being removed from Google, so they can't find the end product on a you know, a vlogger site or a news site, you know. And how far does it go? Does it mean game companies can stop bad reviews about their games showing up in Google, you know, .co.uk? To me, this is scary, and as always, I'd love to know what you think. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Assuming no one complains about this, I'll see you later.